Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to The Right Time, a Wave original. My name is Bomani Jones. Thanks for listening wherever you get your podcast. Thanks for watching us on YouTube. Subscribe, like, rate us, review us, give us 5 stars. You only give us 4 stars. I'm inclined to believe you are a hater. We are going to resume our top 25 athletes of the last 25 years. This episode, stick around with us. But guys, got to let you know something just so you understand. We are taping a little bit farther in advance than we typically do, especially for a Monday, right? Which makes it impossible. We can't exactly see into the future to tell you what there is to talk about on Monday. And so we was going to talk a little bit about something involving Arch Manning because that's becoming a thing. But I have to be honest with you. We are having a morning that has involved some things that if I got to record something right now, you're going to have to hear me talk about them for a little bit. You know what I mean? Like very rarely am I in a situation where I'm just going to put what I feel like talking about ahead of the interest of the audience. I don't really do that. I also understand that you people have the shortest attention spans in the world. So it's possible that maybe, just maybe, you're not going to remember what this is that we're talking about right now. But I feel very confident that you are, in fact, going to remember what it is that we're talking about, okay? So minding my own business. I get up in the morning, just got back from Vegas for work, you know what I'm saying? Came across some, I guess this is the week that everybody found out about Klay Thompson and Megan Thee Stallion. I ain't gonna talk about that here right now. Not yet, you know what I'm saying? This is... Shout out to you, Klay Thompson, by the way. I will say this. This is the one thing I'm going to say for Klay Thompson, and I think that this is very, very important to note, right? While there was some measure of surprise that this is where he wound up, nobody's treating it like they did when Russell Wilson turned up with Sierra. And trust, there were people surprised on the very same levels. But this tells you that we think Klay is just a little bit cooler. Just had that thought. But anyway, somebody has sent me something about that. And then the next thing I know, I look on, I think it must have been the Twitter timeline. I don't think anybody sent it to me. And they showed this clip of this couple, man. And they look like, they look so in love. They there, right? And they all wrapped up with each other. And apparently they was at a Coldplay concert. And the camera was on them because they was on the jumbotron. And they was like, the lady was in front, but it was behind her with the arms wrapped all the way around. You know, that's when you feeling it, where it's like you hugging yourself. You know what I'm saying? You going so hard with it. Man, she looked up and saw that they was on the jumbotron. Man, she put her hand over her head and turned around. And then that white man that was standing behind him, but I am going to say that white man because he ducked like somebody started shooting. And when I say that white man ducked like somebody started shooting, in your mind, you are probably thinking about somebody hitting the ground immediately. No, that's why I said like a white man when somebody started shooting. He took his time and got there. I understand from the gray in his hair that he probably is a little bit older and you can't hit the ground quite in that same way. But they fully understood that they were on the proverbial Summer Jam screen. And Ryan, this video has captivated America as we talk about this. And let me go to you first. Like, what was your thought upon seeing this?
I had several thoughts. My favorite part, and I think you pointed this out on Twitter, is how much Chris Martin clocked it immediately.
Yo, he was like, oh yeah, either they're having an affair or they're really shy. They're having an affair, motherfucker. You knew exactly what they was doing.
And you could almost hear like either the ba-dum-tsh or like the crickets like afterwards, but like he just clocks it immediately. Secondly, just being that brazen to having an affair at a very popular concert.
Yo, so this is the thing about that, right? And that was what got me. So this guy, because the internet, they found out that he was the CEO of something, and she's an HR director.
Yep.
Oh, that's one of y'all. At least one of y'all can't work here no more, right? Like this has happened, but. That demographic, okay? I was telling you about this many years ago. I interviewed for a job with Jim Rohn, and this was back in the ringtone era. And I remember the people that would just be around, everybody's ringtone was do-do-do-do-do-do-do-do-do-do-do clocks. That's what it's called. That was what everybody's ringtone was at the time. I am saying that to simply say that those people at that concert, the demographic is they friends. You see what I'm saying? The demographic is their colleagues. That's who's going to be there. Even if they ain't get you on the jumbotron, somebody there going to see you. And what people need to understand in this day and age, it's very simple. The technology makes it easier to cheat than ever. It also makes it easier to get caught. And so I seen somebody on the internet or Twitter that was like, why would you cheat somewhere with a jumbotron? Hey, buddy, you late. Everywhere got a jumbotron. It's a goddamn camera everywhere you turn. Anything could potentially happen directly in front of you. And this could be your chance. The whole world has a jumbotron, and that jumbotron is in your pocket. They ain't getting caught up right now because they got caught on the jumbotron. They get caught up right now because they got caught on the internet. They could have been in the crowd and a fist fight broke out in front of them. And then somebody gonna see their face, and then boom, they are on the jumbotron. They are cooked. And I am trying to think, what do you do under those circumstances, right? Because you can't, people are like, he should have just leaned into it. No, sir. No, sir. Because you're already embarrassing your spouses by being caught doing this, which is the grand transgression, right? You got to at least look like you care that you just messed up. Like, somebody still got to go home.
You at least have to limit the footage.
Right.
Like you can't let it go on a nanosecond longer than it has.
I mean, look, they just put up some really bad film, right?
Yeah,
and the
correct.
film they put up was excellent film because the reason they got caught on screen is because they look so in love.
So happy.
They look
thrilled.
so happy. The cameraman is like, oh, shit, let's go ahead and put them on the camera.
Out of all the couples in the Coldplay concert, they decided to show how much in love they were.
Only to misunderstand, right? So they have already demonstrated to their spouses that they got the real thing over there, right? You got to at least look like, oh man, I feel bad about what has happened. That film had to be put up. They did go ahead and put up that film. I saw this reminded people of who them people on Good Morning America. Buddy from Arkansas, TJ Holmes, and whoever that woman was that he was with. I don't remember her name.
Oh, that one from a few years ago?
Yes.
I don't remember the names, but yes, that couple.
I will tell you this. After this all happened, right? I saw them out one day at lunch. They could not have looked happier. they couldn't have possibly looked. Look, they were beaming. They was holding hands. They was touching each other for no goddamn reason.
Glowing.
They were glowing. They looked ecstatic. Like, that's the same thing here. It's also the woman right next to them in the shot who has realized what has happened.
Yeah.
And it's just like, yo.
The Larry David of the situation.
I can't believe this is. Then there's the other guy who he realizes the camera's now on him and he's on camera. So he just looks at the camera and starts pumping his fist because he's like, oh, clearly they don't want to be on screen. I want like two different people in this moment of great shame for these folks jumped in front of the camera.
The jumbotron has that effect on people.
Oh my, which for me, it would be like the opposite, man. I'm just going to throw it out there that I feel like they need to stop doing this. You know what I'm saying? Like you gotta. I'm going to throw this out here just as a thought. There are certain couples who will be at an event like this that you may not put on camera because you recognize that those people may not want to be seen on camera, right? For example, I went to a concert not that long ago, and I saw one of those couples, and they were with each other, and those two were trying to pretend like they were not a couple. They were very clearly a couple. It was no doubt. And what made it no doubt that they was a couple was how hard they was working to try to act like they wasn't a couple. They just wasn't talking to each other. They wouldn't give each other pound, nothing. They just straight ahead. They was dressed nice and not looking at each other, not talking to each other. And I was like, y'all are a couple. We know this. but they would never put them on the screen because they would understand and be protective of their privacy. And I'm just saying, maybe you should try to do that with everybody, right? That's just putting it out there. The idea that just because we came on a date means that our date belongs to everybody is a foolish assumption, right? So yes, there are people that want to be on the jumbotron. You can find them pretty easily. Many of them came by themselves, right? That's all I'm saying. That's all I'm throwing out there for that situation, because I personally cannot stop laughing. This between that and Shane Gillis at the ESPYs, brother, I have gotten great entertainment. And I'm going to say this right now. Shane Gillis did not hit all of them out of the park, but he hit a couple of them to the moon. I was like, I can't believe this is happening. There are officially no more rules at that place.
The idea of Shane Gillis hosting the ESPYs even 3 years ago, certainly, 7 or 8 years ago at ESPN is they've come a long way. Let's put it that way.
Shane Gillis hosting the ESPYs and the clips talking about pumping bass at the they're. I don't even think. I'm not even sure Saturday Night Live is putting together that collection of host and musical guests. But I'm just watching these dudes talk about pumping cocaine for the ESPYs crowd, like playing a damn near 25-year-old Cocaine Carol with their new Cocaine Carol that they have up there. And I'm just looking at all of it. And Shane Gillis is telling Epstein jokes, right? He went there with the Caitlin Clark thing. People said he was making fun of black women on that one. I didn't think that was what he said. Caitlin Clark fist fights black women. He didn't say the black women fist fought Caitlin Clark. Like maybe there's some other level that I missed.
He had the extended bit about the fake WNBA wife.
That was funny.
Yeah,
that was. I think that was one of those to me where you're interpreting. There are two reasonable interpretations, right? Interpretation one is that the joke is, ha, people don't know WNBA players. I didn't think that was the joke. The joke was on the people who do pretend to know WNBA players because they want to show off.
And were pandered to.
Yes, those people exist.
Yes.
Right? Like just because the worst people in the world are the ones most vocal about them, we cannot pretend that those people do not exist and that they are not occasionally funny. But there were the joint about the last time Donald Trump staged a UFC fight at the White House. Mike Pence almost died.
Funny
and bold. Like those were some. He took some chances. He missed too. Like when he tried to redo the Norm Macdonald joke. If you explain that you redid the Norm Macdonald joke, which I guess you kind of sort of have to do, yeah, missed the mark. The whole thing about Donald Trump thinking that Juan Soto was alien. Another good one. Another good one.
It went there, but funny.
Yes, but my shock at that, right? Look, I worked for in various capacities ESPN for about 20 years, right? Like I've known what you can and can't get away with. I've been there for the ebbs and flows of the things that you could do, whether it be digital or whatever it is, right? Like I've seen all the changes. This is wild, right? Like this is now, there are officially no rules as long as you're talking about stuff that doesn't really matter, because like talking about stuff that matters, that there's less of that. And look, they've concluded that people don't want that.
Correct.
Okay. And then they can't control anything else that anybody does because you can't control what McAfee does. Right. And so I saw clips of that show and was just like, this is insane. I don't know anything that's going on over there.
You brought up a good point that kind of ties back to the Coldplay of it all is that, one of my main takeaways from Shane Gillis is, it was a tough room. But again, going back to Coldplay, you said that's a room of people who can't get caught laughing.
Yeah. So them jokes right there, like nobody wants to be the one to get caught laughing at the Epstein
They understood that everywhere is a jumbotron.
Yeah. That's it. That is a great point. That is a room full of people perfectly aware that somebody is watching them at all times.
They're always on camera and they're always mic'd.
Nobody in there is acting like it's comic view and falling out of their seats and slapping their knee hard in them up. Like, ain't nobody doing none of that stuff. No, sir. That was not on the board for any of those people there. I will bring up one last thing that came up that I also thought was very interesting, which is, did you read, Ryan? I don't know if you had the chance, but did you see that sad ass story about Joel Embiid?
I saw the breakouts. I have not read the article.
Yeah, look, man, I couldn't read. You know me. I don't do recreational sadness.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? I ain't about that wallow. I could not read the whole thing. I saw parts of it jump out. But I am just going to throw something out there that I think is a very big deal and bad sign for a lot of people if you have an interest in the Philadelphia 76ers. And that article talked a whole lot about how sad he is and all the stuff and everything that's happening, But nobody I've talked to really came away from that story with the clear idea of whether he is physically ready to play basketball.
No, yeah, there was nothing in there that said Joel Embiid's rehab is going great and he is slated to be ready for training camp or, seasons among this.
We will not see him play anytime soon. If that's the case, if you come out of that 50,000 words or whatever that was about his feelings and nothing about how his knee feels, roll. All right, Ryan, we are back to our top 25 athletes of the last 25 years. You can go back and check our previous episode with athletes 25 through 21, also one with Spencer Hall. So what we're going to do is we'll give you some from the list, and then we'll talk about some context about the different athletes of the last 25 years. Not a specific rundown of the list itself, but kind of broader things, because I have to be able to do this in a way where I can also live with myself, right?
Correct. This is not BuzzFeed.
Yeah, this is what we got to do. So look, we got we have some of our specifications. We are doing this for North American athletes who were 25 or younger on January 1st in the year of our Lord 2000. That's how we do this. We have so far gotten through 25 through 21, and 25 through 21 were, let me get to this right. There we go. 25 was Randy Moss, 24 Cam Newton, 23 Albert Pujols, 22 Ray Lewis, 21 is Tim Duncan, and now number 20 is a wild card selection. Now, you guys be wondering, what do I mean about a wild card selection? Well, first of all, I already explained to you, I ain't going to be arguing with you about this. You arguing with yourself. I'm coming up with content that you guys will enjoy. I am not out here looking for fights. I'm not going to argue with you. People are like, how is Allen Iverson not on the list? You don't even know what's on the goddamn list. And you're already talking about...
Yeah, we're 20% in.
Yeah, you don't even know what nothing is. How can he not make the list? Why don't you wait and get to the end and find out why he's not on the list? You know what you need to understand? And I said I wasn't going to argue with you. I'm not arguing with you. I'm talking to you like I'm your daddy. You know what the thing is that you need to understand about a top 25 list? It can only have 25 people on it. That's what you need to understand. That's what it comes down to. No matter what it is. So only 25 is who we talking about. It's a lot of excellence out here. You know what I'm saying? We got to start giving props to the excellence. And unfortunately, Allen Iverson might have been number 26. You know who else also, unfortunately, was not able to make this list? Throw it out here, another others receiving votes candidate. What's his name? Alex Rodriguez. That's who. He can't make the list. Alex Rodriguez got 696 home runs. He can't make the list. Why? The list only got 25 people on it. So here's what this wild card selection is, okay? Whoever it is that you got on your mind that you think should have made this list and did not, you got two choices. You can put that person into the wild card selection and say that they made the list so that you like it more, or you could take that very name and shove it up your keister. I've given you two choices, right? Maybe your keister can't handle that. I would understand if it couldn't, right? You don't have to do it to your keister. You can put it in the wild card spot. But if you don't want to put it in your wild card spot, the keister is where it goes. Brian, you seem like you had something to say.
No, I was just laughing.
Yes, just saying. like that's just people get mad. Like, oh yeah, especially dude. I remember Ryan. Ryan worked at the school when I worked up there, and he said something about why I ain't had no hockey players on there because I don't know nothing about no hockey. Right? I am an entire committee. If it was a broader committee, then everybody would have room to do all that stuff. But that ain't what we got. This ain't science. I'm just giving you this shit.
Correct.
That's it. You know what I'm saying? So wild card for you. Put whatever hockey player you want to put in there if you want to. It's probably some soccer player out here that I didn't think about. You can knock the dust off of Freddie Adu and throw him in there if you want to. You know what I'm saying? You got all kinds of options for what it is that you can do and throw them people in there. Yeah, there you. Oh. Another one. If you'd like, you can put in Caitlin Clark. Christine Brennan, listening to the show. Because if so, we left that spot for you.
As the producer, I'm putting in Caitlin Clark if it's for my list.
Yes. You know what? Yep.
The one who has to decide how this show is found via Google search.
That's what I was about to say.
He's putting in Caitlin Clark.
I'm so glad I just said that. Go ahead and put that in the title, brother man. I had not really thought about the serendipity that we could have and to put this all together until that very moment. Yes, sir. Go ahead and put her in there. And see, I have figured this out, how to at once make this list a talking point while also allowing you to feel like you got some agency in this situation, right? It is a way for your opinion to matter without me having to care about it. Like, I can't think of anything in the world that brings us all together in a better way and serves everybody's aim. Tell me how you feel. I don't have to listen, but you still feel heard. That's what I'm talking about. Nothing beats relaxing on a hot summer day and watching baseball. And the simplest way to get in on the action is to download the Pick 6 app from DraftKings. It's crazy simple. Just pick more or less on the stats for two or more of your favorite players, and boom, you're in the mix for big cash prizes. Nail your picks and you're heating up. Pick 6 brings upside with payouts up to 500 times. Pick 6 from DraftKings is the most fun way to play fantasy sports. Download the DraftKings Pick 6 app now and use code BOMANI. That's code BOMANI for new customers to get a special sign-up offer. Better payouts, bigger wins. Only with Pick 6 from DraftKings. The crown is yours. Let me tell you about ZBiotics Pre-Alcohol Probiotic. ZBiotics Pre-Alcohol Probiotic drink is the world's first genetically engineered probiotic. It was invented by PhD scientists to tackle rough mornings after drinking. Here's how it works. When you drink, alcohol gets converted into a toxic byproduct in the gut. It's a buildup of this byproduct, not dehydration, that's to blame for rough days after drinking. Prebiotic produces an enzyme to break this byproduct down. Just remember to make pre-alcohol your first drink of the night, drink responsibly, and you'll feel your best tomorrow. Summer is here, which means more opportunities to celebrate the warm weather. Before that backyard barbecue brew, glass of Pinot watching the sunset at the beach, or cocktail by the campfire. Don't forget your ZBiotics pre-alcohol. Drink one before drinking and wake up feeling great and ready to take on the next day and all that summer has to offer. Go to zbiotics.com/Bomani to learn more and get 15% off your first order when you use Bomani at checkout. ZBiotics is backed with a 100% money-back guarantee, so if you're unsatisfied for any reason, they'll refund your money, no questions asked. Remember to head to zbiotics.com/Bomani and use the code Bomani at checkout for 15% off. We are back on the right time. Top 25 athletes of the last 25 years. We have already told you who has been on the list. We have told you that number 20 was the Burger King option. You can have it your way. And now, number 19. Katie Ledecky is on here. Now, you're probably saying to yourself, gee, Bomani, you don't strike me as a person that knows too much about swimming. I know how to do it. You're racist. Okay? I know how to do it. That's the first thing that we could understand. I also know a lot about like sports and races. RACES. I know that when Katie Ledecky get out there and swim for a mile, she gets to the end of the race and she could be dressed by the time the other people get there. And I have been watching her do that now, I believe, for 4 Olympics. Ryan, do I have that right?
Correct. She's won the half mile at 2012, 2016, 2020, and 2024. She's a 4-time Olympian. She's not even 30 years old.
Yo, this is insane. Like, I find something extra special about, and we'll talk more about other people who I think on this list fit this description, but there is something to me like extra amazing about when I am watching somebody do something that I don't really know that much about, and I can tell very clearly that you are dominating this, that
Yes.
nobody is in the same zone. Like, if you want me to try to figure out, also, let's be fair. It helps in these games that are just strictly about the clock, right?
Right.
Like, okay, where you finish relative to everybody else. But there's still even something else about it where it's like when they show those clips of her at the end, and it looked like everybody's still going the other way. She looked like she lapping people.
They have to redo the television broadcast because they can only go out so wide to show her and all of her competitors.
Never seen anything like, okay, so actually, Ryan, you just pointed out something that I don't think I quite grasped, which is, is it really the 800 that she's doing people like that? Or is it
it's the 800.
Okay, so it ain't even as much time as I'm thinking about to like really stretch out a lead.
Correct. Yeah, it is. She started as a dominant 800 meter. The 1500 has been in the last 2 Olympics.
Mm-hmm.
But so when you see that gap, that is in half the distance she has to do that.
I had never considered that because, let's be honest here. It'd be a little bit difficult to watch them super long swimming matches because, they show all that swimming on the Olympics because America good at it, right?
Correct.
You're not this is not. America's good at it. It happens right then, and you can put. So often it is the same person doing so many different events.
You can build the story up very well.
Yeah, you can build a story and you can build a star really, really fast, right? And so we always get in there and watch it. And swimming is interesting by the metric that Spencer was talking about with Usain Bolt. This is the thing that everybody has done. Swimming is something to which everyone has a sort of theoretical access to doing, but at least in this competitive spirit or anything else, this is not something that everybody does. This is not a worldwide sport. You see, the competitors are primarily coming from the United States, Europe, and Asia. You don't see Africans out here at all. You don't see a lot of South Americans for whatever reasons. You don't see them so much participating in this. But I don't feel people talk about there's a cat better than Jordan who didn't get that break. No, there's not. Right? I don't think. Maybe there's somebody in Africa that's just out here swimming and ain't nobody got no clock to understand what's cracking. I don't know. I said that intentionally, ignorantly, just so everybody is clear. Because no, that's not happening. Nobody's doing this, right? And everybody, people, I guess, they have different things they can do for training and everything else. But the actual act of swimming, we just all out here doing the same stroke in the same water. And none of you can get to where I am. None. She gets to be number 19. All right, Ryan, number 18. Mike Trout.
You can talk about the anonymity of Anaheim one more time.
It's the anonymity. Well, so part of it's the anonymity of Anaheim, though, most of the guys we talked about before became anonymous in Anaheim of their own doing. They began to play like regular people, right?
Yes.
Albert Pujols made himself anonymous the old-fashioned way by becoming mediocre in his 30s, right? That's what he managed to do. Trout, the comparison for Trout is, to me, the closest you can get at least, is what would we have done with Rickey Henderson in this day and age? Which is to say, what would we have done with Rickey Henderson in a time where his power would have been treated with a greater priority, while also having the speed, right? Now, Mike Trout is not Rickey Henderson. Howard Bryant makes the great point about Rickey Henderson, which is baseball records are like marathon records. They are long run records. They are records that take forever to break. They're records that people break in their 40s, right? How long it took Hank Aaron, for example, to break Babe Ruth's record, how long it took Barry Bonds to break Hank Aaron's record, and he may have even done that with a little bit of help, right? Ricky Henderson broke the stolen base record at 32. At 32. Nobody's breaking an all-time baseball record in 12 years. Nobody is doing that, right? Mike Trout is not that guy. But the only reason that I would say in this case that he's not that guy is because he's not stealing that many bases. Ricky is not hitting with the level of power that Mike Trout is, right? That's not happening. And by the way, Trout did this and got out there immediately in doing this. Immediately. Also, one of the more fascinating Mike Trout things to me is Mike Trout had a season where he won the MVP, but struck out 184 times, which is, kind of sort of new baseball, but still he struck out 184 times. And then dialed that back relatively in a way that I think is worth noting. Except no. I look at that, and when he does that, the games played just aren't that high. But he's new baseball, right? He's going to get on base. He's going to draw a decent number of walks. He's going to swing really, really hard. He has led the majors in stolen bases in a year where he stole 49 and only got thrown out 5 times, right? That's as a rookie. Second MVP voting as a rookie. I saw a stat about Magic Johnson that I didn't realize, which was he was in the top 3 of the MVP voting, I think, for a stretch of 9 years in a row or something like that. Okay, this is Mike Trout, your MVP voting. 2, 2, 1, 2, 1, 4, 2, 1, 5. And that's when the injuries come. But I feel like for purposes of our list, 3 MVPs and the sort of numbers that he's put up, look, man, he's 33 years old and he's probably going to get to 400 home runs this year at 33 years old. When I was a kid, and I know that this has changed, but when I was a kid, 400 home runs, as long as you weren't Dave Kingman, meant that you were going to the Hall of Fame, right? The argument for the greatness of Barry Bonds is, even if you take away everything after the points at which we generally agree that he started, hitting that spike, right? He had 400 home runs before then. That is a Hall of Fame career. If Mike Trout had stopped playing baseball at the age of 30, very similar to Albert Pujols, he'd be a Hall of Famer, right? That's why Andrew Jones is not going to, or has not gotten into the Hall of Fame because there's some haters, but also because after the age of 30, it kind of went downhill. Now, to me, the argument for Jones is he is the capital T, H-E, capital G, greatest defensive center fielder who ever lived. That is enough to me to make the Hall of Fame if you're also going to hit for 400 home runs. I don't care what happened with you in your 30s. Andrew Jones is not as good as Mike Trout. He does not have the resume that I just read off for you with Trout. But that guy, if he stops at 30, is a Hall of Famer, right? To me, it's a Ralph Kiner type of situation. It is a Kirby Puckett type of situation where, okay, this guy is just that good. Of course, the thing with Trout, as you just brought it up, is he just had no interest in being famous whatsoever. And it is so wild to me, the idea that the best baseball player of a generation, right, who is Bryce Harper, has actually kind of turned out to be the guy that we thought Bryce Harper was going to be when he was on the cover of Sports Illustrated, and still not Mike Trout. I think so. I am not sure, to be honest. But the idea, though, that he being Bryce Harper, could turn out to be what we thought Bryce Harper would turn out to be. And what it turned out to be? Not Mike Trout. And that's literally no shame to him. That's just where Trout turned out to be. Is it the same draft? You're able to check?
Yeah, I would. Mike was 2009, 25th overall in 2009. Bryce Harper was 2010. But still, again, same generation.
Yeah, they're still right there. I remember Mike Trout broke in the same year that Yasiel Puig got going. Oh, yeah. I remember what a phenomenon Puig. That was when we learned the difference between the Dodgers and the Angels, right? Because Puig also was crazy fun to watch, right? Yeah. But Puig was such a phenomenon. And I remember me and Dan, because Puig was Cuban. So me and Lobatar would be on television. We ride for Puig. And then I looked up and was like, hey, how about we just admit that we ain't been paying that close attention? What you think about that? Like, that's what seems to be the case as far as I can tell, that we actually are not doing our proper diligence on our jobs. Because this is not this is not it. By the way, somebody just sent me a text about that Coldplay thing. Said, damn, lost half in 30 seconds. He did. Like that's half. Like that ride home. Well, first of all, do you go home?
Do you go?
Like, did you ever?
Either of them go home?
Where do they think you are right now? You know what I'm saying? Like, are your significant others
late night at the
somewhere
office
themselves, or are they out of town? Did you say you went on a trip? Like, where do they think you are right now? Because you got to get out ahead of this. I don't think that you can wait for more people to call. Like sorry, my bad. You just crossed my mind. Just as that came across, it's still, damn. Anyway, we are now at number 17. Lamar Jackson. Now, this is where the list starts getting interesting and starts getting tight. Because the truth is, on one level to me, this feels a little bit high, right? For example, I could have put Drew Brees in here. Right, Correct. Drew Brees would have made the age specification. Drew Brees has won a Super Bowl. Drew Brees was never MVP or first team All-Pro. Am I certain that Lamar Jackson is better than Drew Brees? I don't know. That's a tricky question. And we will have to get to the question that I think we will be asking at a lot of points on this list and that we asked even on day one, which is, are you sure he's better than Tim Duncan?
Yeah, I mean, the rest of the list is, a continuation of, is this person better than Tim Duncan?
It's just going to, at every point, it's just going to be like, sometimes the question will be more compelling than others. Like, we may, like, every time we do this list, we may have to redo it and be like, you know what? Oh, actually, Tim Duncan goes here. Like, there's an argument for this. But Lamar Jackson is the two-time NFL MVP who is the only person I can think of in the NFL. Well, no, maybe this happens other times. Let me be fair. But the only reason he's not a three-time MVP is because the writers wanted to be nice to Josh Allen. That is the only reasonable explanation for how it is that Lamar Jackson could be first-team All-Pro and Josh Allen win the MVP, and they play the same position. We all saw this as it happened. It was the participation trophy type thing ever, right? Like, everybody deserves to win every now and then. Like, you can't give employee of the month to the same person every month, even though every month is the same person doing the job. You can't do that. That's what wound up happening. So in my mind, I stopped and I asked myself, if we took a guy who has now been in the NFL for 7 seasons, he's going into his 8th season, and he's won 3 MVPs, regardless of the fact that he has not made it to a Super Bowl, add that plus a Heisman Trophy and being like a truly redefining player about what it is to be a quarterback in the NFL, he's here. Like, there's a level that this feels to me a little bit hasty. But no, I don't think that you're going to go through and look at the people who are below him and certainly say that any of them should be above.
Especially, something we made very clear, and if you didn't catch the earlier version of the list, we are putting a lot of emphasis on peak versus, longevity, and nearly winning back-to-back MVPs in the NFL is about as high as peak gets.
Right. Like, you can't. There's something to be said for your ability to do this for a very long time. But when you get to talking about somebody like way down the line, grandkids or whatever, you're not going to be like, "Whoo, he played for a long time." Like, that's not going to be what you impart when you are explaining what was so impressive. Even when you get to a point and be like, man, he did it for a long time. that's not the part that's going to light you up. Like when we get to the Tom Brady part, that's going to be interesting to me because he was just so coldly effective and efficient. But it was nothing that just made you, he ain't do nothing to set your hair on fire. You just in the end had to look at it and be like, oh, okay, he's that dude for getting the job done. Lamar has largely gotten this job done and done this with varying levels of talent. Like you can't say he's out there for dolo now at this point, but there were points at which it was looking like another, you're the best player on the high school team and we put the ball in your hand and you go do whatever. And I also think that a part of this in terms of perceiving him, and I got to think in my own mind about what role this plays is, it's somewhat difficult to separate anything that happens for him in the NFL from how he wound up getting into the NFL, right? And the fight of I think, and I could be wrong here, but I think that Lamar Jackson may ultimately end up with his historical legacy being he might be the last black quarterback of his ilk to truly have to fight to play quarterback, right? Where they had to not run the 40-yard dash, not do any receiving drills and all of these things. And I do have this hot take. Not all of that is as racist as it seems, right? Some of it is, obviously. But if you don't think that he's a great quarterback, I think most of us do think you'd at least give him a chance at doing some of the other stuff, right? Got to kick the tires on it.
I think the wild thing about Lamar is you almost see this level of doubt twice. Obviously, it's two different things.
Right.
But the whole league comes in and doubts him. He ends up being the last pick of the first round, including the Ravens passing on him.
Yes.
Early in that draft. And then you see, fast forward a few years later, he's a restricted free agent. Any team in the league can get him for matching his contract and 2 first-round picks. Obviously, you have collision element, but no one was willing to break ranks and go get him.
Right.
And then it's still doubting his, with his injury risk and everything else. And then he comes out afterwards, wins an MVP, and nearly wins the second one.
And now, by the way, you raise a point. Maybe I was out here being a little bit too optimistic. Perhaps there is still an opportunity for them to doubt the black quarterback. My fault, Ryan. I had forgotten that they just did that a couple of years ago.
Yeah.
With that happened. But you would hope at the very least that could be what the legacy winds up being for him, though, because there's not that much that you could ask for. And he is a very good pocket passer. I think it is very easy for people to try to dismiss that. I think it is especially easy if you don't know anything about college football. And what the offense that Cam Newton was running at Auburn is not the Bobby Petrino offense. That was not an offense built around having a running quarterback. They had a quarterback who could run, but he was still out there running the Bobby Petrino offense. Now, of course, there's more left for Lamar to do, right? He is going to make it to the Hall of Fame. Right. I don't think he is a Hall of Famer necessarily right now at this moment, but 2-time MVP, 3-time first team All-Pro quarterback. I feel pretty confident that he is going to go to the Hall of Fame. Hall of Fame quarterbacks who did not make it to the Super Bowl in the Super Bowl era, that's a really short list. I got Dan Fouts and Warren Moon. I don't have anybody else that I can think of on that list, both of whom ran kind of supercharged offenses for the day. And one could argue that the schematics of the offense helped them get to the Hall of Fame, but also helped keep them out. They don't blow that lead to Buffalo if they're not running 4 wide receivers every play, for example. But are they scoring 35 points against Buffalo if they don't do those things, right? I say all that to say, if you have played 7 years, and I think that puts Lamar at 27 or 28, still crazy young, and you have the accolades that he has, then yeah, you're that guy. And I don't think that we talk about him really in those historic terms because we're still asking the questions about the Ravens team success on his watch. However, he's earned the praise that he is getting from this list. Okay, and now we have number 16. Wow, that was a terrible drumming. Let me try it again. There we go. Aaron Rodgers. Now, again, are we sure he's better than Tim Duncan? I don't know. I also realize I may have meant to put a different Aaron here, but we'll talk about that next show. There's room to change. But anyway, there are times where Aaron Rodgers has appeared to be the best quarterback I have ever seen. There has never been a time that I have thought Lamar Jackson was the best quarterback I have ever seen. There's never been a time that I thought that Cam Newton was the best quarterback that I have ever seen, just from watching him. I will be honest with you. There has never been a time that just from watching him that I have thought Tom Brady was the best quarterback I've ever seen. Like with Tom Brady, you got to think about it, and then you get to the conclusion. But it's not like, wow, look at that. Aaron Rodgers throwing a football has so much, oh my God, I can't.
Throws only Aaron, at the time you thought only Aaron Rodgers could make.
Throws. This sounds like a crazy thing maybe to say, and maybe not the most important thing to bring up, but I do think it speaks to a degree of testament to like what you get from the Aaron Rodgers world. He is the best Hail Mary thrower I have ever seen. He is the only person that I have seen throw multiple Hail Marys that I believe he was truly throwing it to a spot. Right. And the spot was directly behind all the defensive players that are going to try to jump up and get the ball, and there will be some guy just there to catch it. Like, he's that dude. He's also way more athletic than I think people really gave him credit for. Like, the concern that I had about where he would be after the Achilles is because if Aaron Rodgers isn't really that athletic, then you're not getting the same thing, right? And athletic is not just simply about the ability to move. It's about the ability to move and throw it while you're moving, go in these crazy directions and everything else. Now, yes, he has become, weirdo. What a weirdo. He's I mean,
someone who's having a tough week, I can imagine.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah. I mean, I imagine he might be canvassing. He might be in the streets. Over that Epstein boy, he might be out here sending letters. He might quit his job to dedicate himself like Maya Moore. He might, another honorable mention, others receiving votes, person on this list. He might be
someone dedicated to a cause, their cause.
Got to get it done. Somebody's got to make it happen. But I do think that ultimately Aaron Rodgers is going to be thought of for the Super Bowls, not the Super Bowls that he didn't win, but the Super Bowls he didn't get to.
Right.
Now, how much of that is his fault becomes an interesting question. They've come close, like they had that year against Seattle, where they want to say it was 2014, where Seattle marched down the field at the end of the game and got it done. And that would have been
they went 16-0 for most of that game, and that was one of the wildest comebacks. That was a Mike McCarthy coaching disaster class.
Yes, in the toughest building in the league to play in at that point, right? So like they had the year they went 15-1, and then Eli Manning had that horseshoe up his keister for a month again, right? And then he got there. So we're going to think a lot, I believe. Oh, my favorite factoid, though, with Aaron Rodgers is his real nemesis was Colin Kaepernick. Colin Kaepernick did it to that boy 3 times, twice in the playoffs, just destroyed.
In Lambeau.
In Lambeau in the playoffs the one year, and then 2 of them at Candlestick Park. One to start or whatever. I think they were still in Candlestick. One to start the season in 2013, and then in 2012 in the playoffs, where he had something like 180 yards before contact. It was nuts the way that wound up going. But I think because of all the other stuff with Aaron Rodgers, yes, we think about the fact that Dan Marino did not win a Super Bowl, but I think that we primarily think of the greatness of Dan Marino and then be like, well, damn, they did not win a Super Bowl. I think because of the other stuff about Rodgers, it is likely that we will think of it more in the context again of why you didn't get it done. And I think that will obscure what I think is truly like his greatness. Like if you were, and this is where lists like this get to be tricky. If you were to ask me who I thought was a better, okay, so I'll dial this out. I used to say this about Eli Manning versus Tony Romo. I don't think there's any question that Tony Romo was a better quarterback than Eli Manning. But if I need to go win a playoff game, there's also pretty much no question which one of them I'm going to take, and it's not Tony Romo.
Correct.
Those are competing thoughts that aren't necessarily contradictory. I think Aaron Rodgers is a better player, a better athlete, than Tom Brady, but one of them got 7 Super Bowl rings and one of them got 1.
Right. And for the beginning of that career, we were able to tie a lot of that to Mike McCarthy. But Matt LaFleur gets there, he wins 2 MVPs, and we still see the same struggles with Aaron Rodgers in the playoffs. So, it's hard to remove.
But we're talking peak, and I'm going to pull up some of these numbers here so you can understand. When we say peak with Aaron Rodgers, and I say we're really talking about like 2010 through about 2015, 2016, maybe. The touchdown interceptions numbers, because the blessing and curse of Aaron Rodgers is the low interception numbers, but also because of a problematic level of risk aversion.
Didn't want to be Brett Favre.
Didn't want to make the mistake, and too much did not want to make the mistake. But dude, 2011, 45 touchdowns, 6 interceptions. 2012, 39 and 8. 2013, he was hurt for much of the year. 2014, 38 and 5. 2015, 31 and 8. 2016, 40 and 7. 2020, 48 touchdowns, 5 interceptions at the age of 37. Like, dude, this one was different. He also was,
eclectic.
Different. Eclectic. It's not just. I remember when it's different was kind of cool. Like, hey, y'all booed the Muslims. That wasn't cool, right? And then something happened and that boy got radicalized. And, now.
One of the themes we talk about the show is the dangers of being on the internet too much.
Way too much. No supervision. Boy needs supervision. But that is what we got. And so that is our list through number 16. We have 15 left for you. We got more contests coming for you. All of that stuff. Stick around with us. And remember that wild card selection was there so that you can argue with yourselves and leave me alone. And ladies and gentlemen, thanks so much for joining us here on The Right Time. We do this 3 times a week. Ryan Brumley handles everything behind the scenes. Thank you, sir. Remember, follow The Right Time. Subscribe, like, rate us, review us, give us 5 stars. You only give us 4 stars. I'm inclined to believe you are a hater. And we'll talk to you guys in a couple of days. Take it easy.